In a development that tries to blend ecclesiastical gravitas with royal tact, Buckingham Palace has just announced that the King and Queen's state visit to the Vatican has been postponed. Only a few days ago, they said it was still going to go ahead. It was scheduled to take place from April the 7th to the 10th, and the visit would have marked King Charles's first official audience with Pope Francis as monarch and supreme governor of the Church of England. It was also a symbolic gesture meant to coincide with the 2025 Papal Jubilee, a sacred occasion for Catholics celebrated once every 25 years. But plans have now been shelved after medical advice urged Pope Francis, still frail after the grave bout of double pneumonia, to observe an extended period of convalescence. And the King and Queen will continue with the Italian leg of their tour. And according to the palace, they've postponed the Vatican portion of the visit by mutual agreement. The symbolism here is significant. The relationship between the Catholic Church and the Church of England, once defined by schism and doctrinal war, is now characterized by increasing friendliness, and the two institutions remain doctrinally distinct, yet in modern diplomacy, such encounters serve as gestures of goodwill and theological détente. This visit, framed during the Jubilee year, was intended to serve that quiet progress. But the drama behind the scenes rivals any Tudor intrigue. It emerged that Pope Francis' doctors, at one point during his hospitalization, contemplated ending active treatment, so severe was the pontiff's condition. He was said to have inhaled vomit during a bronchospasm, triggering a cascade of respiratory crises, and the Vatican, historically circumspect on papal health, was uncharacteristically candid. This was a close call. Francis, now 88 and visibly frail, appeared on the hospital balcony before being discharged, waving to crowds with an oxygen cannula in his nose. He gave a thumbs up to a woman holding yellow flowers, a gentle flourish that belied the stark reality that his public ministry is increasingly limited by physical constraint. The Pope's return to the Vatican was triumphant in tone but tempered by realism. He is under strict medical orders to avoid large gatherings for 2 months. This isn't the first time a papal health crisis has intersected with royal planning. In 2005, Charles and Camilla delayed their wedding by a day to accommodate the funeral of Pope John Paul II, demonstrating again how the Vatican casts a long shadow even across Anglican timelines. Ironically, this postponed state visit could have coincided with the royal couple's 20th wedding anniversary, itself an occasion marked by a previous papal death. In political terms, this postponement will disappoint those hoping for a dramatic visual moment. The monarch of England, symbolic head of a church born from Rome's rejection, meeting the Bishop of Rome in the Sistine Chapel, it would have been a potent image of continuity and reconciliation. For Charles, who takes his religious role seriously, sometimes to the point of theological eclecticism, this is more than pageantry. He's long advocated interfaith dialogue and sees himself as a protector of all faiths, not merely Anglicanism. And his meeting with Francis in 2017 and the 2019 canonization of Cardinal Newman are part of this broader spiritual diplomacy and parallel the movements that used to be made with such tremendous enthusiasm by organizations like ARCIC. As for the Italian leg of the tour, it proceeds with some adjustment. The King will become the first British sovereign to address both houses of the Italian Parliament, will attend a state banquet at the Quirinal Palace, will mark the 80th anniversary of Ravenna's liberation from fascist forces in World War II. These are no mere ceremonial outings. They aim to reaffirm post-Brexit British relationships on the world stage with culture and history as currency. Yet it is the absence of the Vatican audience that casts the longest symbolic shadow. The Holy See, while a spiritual jurisdiction, holds immense diplomatic weight. To postpone such a meeting underscores the fragility not just of age and health, but of the institutions these men represent. Charles of a monarchy in transition, Francis of a papacy nearing its physical limits. There's also a broader question hovering in Rome: what next for the papacy? Francis's illness has reignited speculation about a possible resignation, something like Benedict's historic abdication in 2013. It may not be imminent, but it is now thinkable. The papacy, long associated with eternal office for life, now lives under the precedent of renunciation. This postponed visit is not a cancellation but a pause, laden with symbolism and diplomacy and frailty. But monarch and pontiff represent ancient institutions negotiating their future through gestures of humility and care. And sometimes the most telling acts in public life are not those undertaken, but those delayed.